Hello everyone, welcome to Diamondza Craft where I make things. My name is Sarah and I'm back with another video. I wanted to get this video out as quickly as I could. As you can tell by the title, I have made a clicker from The Last of Us. It's mostly sculpt in paint, so it didn't take very long. It would have been great if I could have got it done last weekend, but here we are this weekend. So I hope that you enjoy this video celebrating how wonderful that TV show was. Obviously the game is also fantastic, and yeah, here we are. I'm just gonna stop talking and get right into it. Enjoy. Today I am going to use two dolls. This Abby head with this broken Dracula body. It could have been any head, to be honest, since it's going to be completely covered, but this is the first head I landed on, really. I like her jawline too, but that's besides the point. I had the idea to cut this head down the middle, so I opened up the scalp and took all of the hair out. I tell you, it was so much easier this way. I did do more research than just a quick scroll on my phone, because I wanted to figure out if it was worth cutting the head directly down the middle. I glued the back of the head up and I did cut the front of the face open, and then my scalpel slipped. Oh fuck. Oh nuts. It was fine, I needed to cut the mouth out anyway. I did end up not needing to cut the front, but things happen and you just have to find a solution. So the idea was to have the cordyceps bursting from the hole in the face, and I did try to use it, though the Milliput just stuck the face back together, so it didn't really matter in the end. I think I panicked a little with the idea that you have to work quickly with this stuff, and it's not exactly how I wanted it to look. Especially since the first try was not right. So I ended up with this, which is okay, it'll do. Artistic license, guys, it's how you get around everything not being perfect. Side note, I took these arms mainly because they had nice clawed hands attached to them and we needed a second arm. I just cut the extra bits off, and it doesn't have to be neat since it'll be covered in fungus soon. Anyway, I have to do the other side now. I took it piece by piece, trying to keep it thinner at the top so I could make it all wiggly. I went layer by layer, just blooming it out from the point where it's burst from the face. Then it's a matter of adding a few extra bits. I was going to add the teeth at this point, but it was all a little soft, so I'll do that later. For the body, I just wanted to rough it up a little so the Milliput would stick better. Spoiler, some bits did fall off and I had to glue them back on, but on the whole it was fine. I am trying to add the texture as best as I can. Some of the body looks blistered and some of it looks like it's growing the fungus. So I am just varying where things will grow, making it look gross. And the best thing about projects like this is you can't be wrong. Just add or take away and it'll look great. It's not precious and you could just have fun with it, and I am sure some people would like to meticulously sculpt every bit, but it would look good regardless. I finally did add the teeth after the face had dried completely. It just made getting those details in easier. I wasn't worried about the sculpting I'd done on the other side getting squashed. With this kind of sculpting, it is better to go back and forth on parts so you can let an area dry before you add more to it. And I did use the bits that wanted to flake off as extra texture. I did also remember to drill a hole in both feet because my plan is to make an actual stand for this doll to go on. I just need to make sure the wire fits. Then I can paint. Once everything was sculpted, I just painted on a neutral tone to get things going. Everything looks much better once it's all one colour. Then, once again, this paint job did not have to be perfect. Not entirely certain why I started with the mouth. I guess I was just too excited to see what it would look like. I just added colours, trying to model the skin tone a little and leaving a bit of the grey poking through. This is basically a husk of a body. I did have a reference picture up for me to follow, but my sense of colour is shocking considering I'm an artist. I always end up going off track and just doing my own thing, and it did work out. Again, I was not trying to be perfect here since I think it can look overworked. I did, however, take my time with these veins here. But since this body is a mess, everything about it is a mess. Plus, no two bodies are the same, so I feel like this is my own personal addition to the world of The Last of Us. Finally, the face. I've seen so many different versions of a clicker, and as I'd already decided to go rogue, I went with my own feeling on this one. I did mix these colours wet so they'd blend into each other nicely. And I think I only had to go over it once more just to saturate those colours. Again, the messier the better in my opinion. All of the colours I had were a muted blue, yellow and dark orange. It was all over the body, so the face was matching. I washed a dark brown over the teeth so they wouldn't be so pristine. Then it was time to give her hair. The cordyceps looks to burst out of the face, so the back of the head is alright. I took this yarn I already had prepped, I think from Daniela Dimitrescu, and I dipped it in a watery mixture of brown and black paint to dirty it up. The fact it was tangling up when I took it out of the water was an added bonus. I really liked how it ended up looking like zombie hair, you know? Like, it's thin and balding in spots, matted and dirty. I was worried about overdoing it, but I think it really works. The clothes also need to look ruined. I wasn't about to make this clicker a whole set of fancy clothes just to ruin them, so I looked to see what I had laying about. This skirt was nice, and I decided that when the outbreak happened, this individual was on a night out. I took a file and roughed it up, poked holes in it, and just tore the heck out of it. Same with the top, which I then actually glued to her. I did forget to seal the paint job on this body, so I'm just doing that. It actually makes her look even more gross since now she has a sheen of something glistening on her. She's basically done now, so it's time for the base. I used Super Sculpey for the bottom and rolled some tinfoil over it for texture. I'm gonna have her on a street so it kind of looks like ruined concrete. I cut some cracks into it where like building debris has landed or something. Then I cover some foil balls up with more Sculpey to make the rocks. I pressed down the sides as best as I could for the big ones and textured it with broken lolly sticks. For the small ones, I just did what I did with the coals from Santor and pulled them apart. Then I figured I could use the broken lolly sticks for more debris. Maybe a nearby boarded up window was pulled to bits or a crate had been broken. Then, whilst the sculpt was baking, it was time to paint the whole base black. Then carefully line up the holes using the wire that's going to hold her foot in place. And this paint job is going to be much like the first. It's all going grey, and I will wash black over it into the cracks so it sits in all the recesses. I dry brush the rocks with a lighter grey. Then I added another wash of brown over the grey to look like dirty water has stained the ground. Again, the messier the better here. I did kind of place the rocks strategically, only so the wire around a foot could be hidden, but they needed to be glued in place. I threw these rocks around quite a bit actually before I realised that it didn't matter where they landed. As a final little touch, I decided to make a road sign. I covered this straw in UV to smooth it out and painted it black, then covered it in chrome powder to make it look metallic. I then printed this stop sign in various sizes just to see and stenciled a firefly logo over the top. Then I just weather it with the same gross watery concoction and it looks pretty nice. Just gotta glue it together and I have a stop sign. And one final little touch to the base is going to be the overgrowth. I got myself some model grass / moss to glue on, and it's a bit bright, so once it was dry I covered it with brown paint. Then I wanted to add this dried moss as like vines, kind of like a mixture of the fungus that they all grow into the wall with and just like natural plant growth. I pulled them apart so they could be individual vines and I stuck them all over the rocks and floor. I added in the broken bits of wood and I did add some UV parts to make the moss slimy, the floor look a bit wet in places. And with that, I'm all done. And here she is, all finished. I really love the base that I made for this doll, just because I don't usually make the bases and it's nice to have like a little bit of context for the doll. Also, the doll stands are kind of annoying to like crop out if you want to crop them out of a photo, so this is just... Let me know how you think I did in the comments down below. If you do leave a comment, remember, don't be a dick. Leave a like on this video if you want to. Consider subscribing if you want to see me do more stuff like this. Ring my bell because it's fun. I will be posting more pictures on Instagram as usual. And yeah, I think this was a good one. I will see you next time. Bye! So the clickers are pretty terrifying, and if it's terrifying and it's easy, then I'm gonna put my hands together.